President receives warm welcome at the G7 summit.
What happened to the Doppler radar purchased by the previous administration for 260 million rupees to monitor the weather? Minister Sajid Premadasa questions.
Public Services Commission says it has received the FCID report with regard to Anusha Palpiter.
Prices of vehicles changed again after the government's new tax amendments.
SLTB loses more than 71 million rupees in 5 days owing to the recent disaster situation.
Obama speaking in Hiroshima calls for world without nuclear weapons.
Hello there, very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to Primetime News. We are coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news tonight, I am Joel Outscourt.
And I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Let's start off with a look at your top story tonight.
Starting off news with the President's diary, President Maithripala Sirisena says the objective of the government is to create the path for peace and prosperity. The President was speaking at the outreach sessions of the G7 summit.
The G7 Outreach Summit is taking place in Iseshima, Japan, on the sidelines of the main G7 summit. This is incidentally the first time that a Sri Lankan head of state has been invited to attend the summit. President Maithripala Sirisena was extended a warm welcome by Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also extended his greetings to President Sirisena. British Prime Minister David Cameron then extended his wishes to the President. Chancellor of Germany Angela Merkel met with the President as well. US President Barack Obama added his greetings to President Sirisena. President Maithripala Sirisena also met the head of the International Monetary Fund, Christine Lagarde. The President's media division said that the world leaders has informed President Sirisena that they would extend their support to Sri Lanka in its journey forward. Speaking at the summit, President Maithripala Sirisena said that the government has succeeded in creating the path for viable development, environment and for reconciliation. Elaborating on the steps undertaken by the government to ensure democracy, good governance and the rule of law, the President also noted that the government has entered a development drive that would yield the real benefits to all people in the country. During the summit, French President François Hollande also added his wishes to the President.
The Ministry of Housing and Construction donated a consignment of rice worth 4.5 million rupees to the Ministry of Disaster Management to be distributed to those victimized by the disaster situation. The event took place at Temple Trees.
The funds collected by the staff of the Ministry of Housing and Construction donating a day's salary were presented to the Prime Minister by Minister Sajid Premadasa and later handed over to the Minister of Disaster Management Anura Priyadarshana. Following the disaster, the President, the Cabinet of Ministers, area residents and tri-forces and police and state sector employees made large contribution towards this cause. Those who were victimized by the floods can now return to their homes since the water levels have receded. There is another group of people who were affected by the landslides. In addition, there are a large number of people who were gravely affected by the flooding of the Kali River, whose businesses have been harmed and who cannot go back to their homes. Relief needs to be provided to them. Since we are receiving relief from many sources as well as from foreign donors, we have initiated a new centre dedicated to disaster management in Sri Lanka. In the future, the centre will look into disaster situations and that ministry is preparing its future plans. I'm deeply saddened by how various parties used this tragic situation as a means of slinging mud at our government. Now I hear the members and leader of the joint opposition saying that there was no prior preparation. I would like to clearly ask what happened to the Doppler radar system that was purchased in 2011 using 260 million rupees of public funds. The system was to be erected on top of the Gongal mountain. If you look at the status of the project today, not even the approach road has been built. 4 years went by and they could not establish it. However, today we have received 2 Doppler radar systems from the government of Japan free of charge. Not even 5 cents will be spent on this from the treasury, all the taxpayers' money.
සතපහක්වත් විය පැහැදම් කරන්න නැතුව. මෙන්න ආශ්චර්යයි යහපාලනයේ වෙනස.
And in some weather news this evening, the Department of Meteorology says that showers will occur at times in the western, northwestern, southern, central and sub-Ragama provinces. Now it adds that showers or thunder showers may occur at few places in the Uva and eastern provinces.
The cleanup activities of houses that were affected by the floods due to the swelling of the Kalini River were carried out today by various groups.
I'm here at the Malvan area, which was inundated over the past few days. The walls of the houses are soaked in water and the residents of this home live in fear. The water levels were up to the roofs of the houses. Water levels have been stagnant for over a week. The residents here live in fear. The walls of the houses are all soaked. We live here in great fear. We do not know when the houses will collapse on us.
The southern bank of the Kalini Rivers was damaged in Malvana. Today, News First visited the Kolonnava and Vellampiti areas on the Colombo-Avissa-Vella main road and several other areas that were inundated by the floods. Following the floods, many have been forced to throw away many of their electrical equipment onto the main road opposite their houses as there is no use of them anymore. As there is no proper system to move this waste, the area is overwhelmed with a bad odour.
The urban council should send a lorry to clean this, but they have not. Look at how much the people are suffering. There is no place to dispose the garbage. What has happened. Now our priority is to clean this up. There are more things in our gardens than in our houses. We need someone to help us clean this.
They only take what they want. Other than metal and plastic, everything else is left here. Look at how everything is left here.
US military personnel and the students of the Sir John Kotalawala Defence University were engaged in a clean-up in the Vellampiti area.
It's great to see the community come along from different backgrounds, different religions, everybody working as a group to get this mess going and clean it up. It's going to take time, but we're here together, working together to make it better.
The roof of a house in Angarapulla Valivita in Kadwala collapsed last night, injuring those inside. The parents and the 2 children who had cleaned their house during the day had gone to sleep at midnight, and it was during that time that the roof had completely come down. All 4 suffered minor injuries.
I held on to my daughter's sheet along to protect her. I screamed till someone came to help us.
Officers of the National Building Research Organisation conducted inspections in the Kinigathene area on the Kandy Hatton main road, where a landslide warning had been issued. While steps were taken to close one lane of the road, the National Building Research Organisation notified residents that they should not reside there during the night. There are cracks on the road and on the walls of the shops that are situated on the slope of the road. The cracks on the buildings have widened.
People who are staying at relief camps following flash floods that affected many areas have started to return to their homes. However, some are facing a number of issues following their return home.
Although the floodwaters have receded, some of the houses are in a huge mess. In Meetotamulla, Newsfirst came across children who were looking for their school books among the rubble and waste. It was during this visit that Newsfirst came across Najib, a student who is facing his GCE advanced level examination in 2 months, now left without his notes and timetable.
The examination is in 2 months. I lost my tutorials and books. Everything was lost to the floods. I'm facing the ordinary level examination this year, while my brother will sit for the advanced level examination. I'm not sure if we will be able to sit for the examination. We lost our schools and everything else.
The floodwaters have receded, however, the agony of these people have not. This is the house of Erandi.
There were several books inside the house. However, Erandi's were not among them.
Only my sister's books were saved from the flood.
Like Irandi, children from Kolonnawa, Meethotamulla and even on the banks of the Kalani River are faced with this situation.
This is a book on engineering studies. This book fell victim to the floods. This house was also inundated. What you see here is what was left by the floods. However, Basit and his brother must go to school again on Monday.
Schools that were converted to relief camps will be reopened to students starting Monday.
Parents who usually panic at the end of the year to buy new books and shoes for their children are now faced with a new situation as schools open on Monday. At this moment, shouldn't we lend them a hand?
Floodwaters may have receded. However, the lives of many people are to return to normalcy. The people who are affected by the floods are faced with serious environmental, social and health issues.
In order to lend a hand to the people who are affected, the Sirasa Shakti John Keel's Suvayatra will take place tomorrow at the Kalaniya Rajamahaviharaya.
Following the swelling of the Kalani River, 190,949 persons of 43,323 families in the Colombo district were affected. The main issue faced by the people following the floodwaters receding is the health and sanitation issues. In order to provide healthcare assistance, the Sirasa Shakti John Keel Suvayatra campaign will take place throughout the day tomorrow at the Kalaniya Rajamahaviharaya premises. Specialist doctors, pharmacists, physiotherapists, medical laboratory technicians, ECG technicians and those affiliated to the profession supplementary to medicine will attend the Sirasa Shakti John Keel Suvayatra program.
Rat fever, hepatitis, lung diseases, skin diseases and diarrhea are likely to spread. Tomorrow, a team of medical professionals will be providing treatment for such diseases. There will be medicine for all and the people need not have any fear. We request that people come early and obtain medication.
In addition to the health-related program, a program to raise awareness of obtaining legal documents including birth and marriage certificates of those affected by floods will take place tomorrow.
The Registrar General's Department has taken steps to dispatch a team that will raise awareness among those who have been affected to obtain their birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates, as well as other legal documents issued by the Registrar General's Department. We request the general public to visit the officials from the Registrar General's Department and obtain the necessary advice. Persons affected by the flood can visit the Kalaniya Rajamahaviharaya starting at 8 a.m. tomorrow and register themselves before obtaining their healthcare services. Doctors, pharmacists, laboratory technicians and many others will be present. After obtaining the facilities, the people can also obtain their medication free of charge. Come early to the Kalaniya Rajamahaviharaya tomorrow and obtain your requirements from the Sirasa Shakti John Keel Suvayatra.
Shakti John Keel's Suvayatra.
Sirasa Shakti John Keel Suvayatra, organized to meet the health requirements of people affected by the natural disaster, on Saturday the 28th of May at the Kalaniya Rajamahaviharaya, a public health service initiative supported by the Government Medical Officers Association, the Independent Medical Practitioners Association and many other medical teams. The Public Health Service Initiative will be attended by pharmacists, physiotherapists, medical laboratory technicians, ECG technicians and those affiliated with professions supplementary to medicine.
Your life, our news.
On to a story that made it to the headlines this evening. The Sri Lanka Transport Board has incurred a loss of 71 million rupees during the disaster period of 5 days. Deputy Minister of Transport Ashok Singh said that this situation has resulted in the issue of paying wages to the employees of the SLTB.
The Sri Lanka Transport Board covers a distance of 1.2 million kilometers per day while providing transport to 2.2 million commuters on a daily basis. SLTB generated revenue of 2,140 million rupees during the month of March. SLTB generates 69 million rupees daily. With the expenditure cost overruling the income cost, SLTB is currently running on a loss. The 10,000 rupees that was added to the salary of the employees is being paid with the assistance of the Treasury. During the 5-day period from the 15th to the 22nd, which saw many areas being affected by floods and landslides, operation of buses in many areas came to a standstill.
Floods and landslides disrupted the services of the Sri Lanka Transport Board buses in many areas. Some employees who were trapped by the floods were unable to report to work. Operations were hampered. The loss incurred from the 15th to the 22nd is 71 million rupees. At present, we are facing a crisis in making payments.
The trade union of the SLTB states that the SLTB, which pays the wages of its employees, is now faced with an even more complicated situation.
We state clearly that to remove the burden of the Transport Board, we will have to work as one without any discrimination. For that, we request from the President and the Minister that they provide the Sri Lanka Transport Board with funds parallel to providing those displaced with relief and services.
Deputy Minister of Transport Ashok Singh states that with the losses incurred, it is unable to pay the monthly wages for several buses that were obtained on lease from depots that the board owns.
I will submit a cabinet paper to obtain 71 million rupees when the cabinet convenes next week. A loss of around 64.4 million rupees has been incurred from the Kurunegala district alone. Some depots have incurred around 8 to 9 million rupee losses. So I hope to submit the cabinet paper to reimburse all the money that we have lost.
On to your developing story tonight, the Public Services Commission announced that a copy of the letter noting that indictments had been filed against Additional Secretary of the Ministry, Home Affairs, Anusha Palpita, had been received from the Ministry of Public Administration and Management. Chairman of the Public Services Commission, Dharmasena Disanayaka, stated that the Commission will meet on Tuesday to take a decision regarding Anusha Palpita. CAFE has voiced its objection against the appointment of former Director General of the Divinaguma Development Department, RAAK, Ranawaka, against who corruption allegations have been made to the post of Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Irrigation.
Executive Director of CAFE, Kirti Tenako, notes that such appointments to active positions in the public service ridicules the investigations that are taking place against fraud and corruption. Today, he acts as the Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Irrigation. It is the position second to the Ministry Secretary and is the Additional Secretary of Administration and Finance. Through the appointments of Anusha Palpita and RAAK Ranawaka as Additional Secretaries, this government has clearly showed that it is prepared to provide posts and positions to corrupt individuals. According to Article 2710 of the Establishment Code, it is clearly stated that if a person is taken to court on an allegation of bribery or corruption, that person should be suspended. We are not asking where the letters are from the Ministry of Public Administration and the Public Services Commission. What we are asking is what happened to Article 2710 of the Establishment Code that was issued on behalf of 2,500 to 3,000 public servants, including police constables, Gram Seva officers and other employees. Where is the law when it comes to these two officials? What we ask is through whose intervention are these individuals still safe? Newsfirst inquired from the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration and Management, J. Dadallage, regarding the matter. He added that the institutions that carried out investigations against RAAK Ranawaka had not submitted any complaint to the Ministry of Public Administration. He added that action cannot be taken in such a situation where no notification was made. When state sector employees, administration officers are sent to a particular ministry and they are not wanted there, all of them are sent to our ministry. We call it the reserve of officers. When there are officers sent to this reserve, when we have vacancies, we send them to fill up that vacancy. Ranamaka too came here in the same manner and we directed him to a place with a vacancy. In between that, if we receive something that there is a pending court case, as soon as I receive it, I will forward it to the Public Services Commission and I will obtain instructions from it and will act upon those instructions. Other than that, action cannot be taken on mere rumours. Action cannot be taken just because it is in the press. The Financial Crimes Investigation Division or the FCID has not made a notification about any official as of yet.
Developing Story brought to you by
Royal Institute of Colombo, excellence in higher education.
Welcome back to the news. The Sri Lankan government has invited Amata Corporation, Thailand's largest industrial developer, to invest in Sri Lanka and extend its expertise to support the country's industrial sector. The idea was proposed by State Minister of Industrial Trade, Sujiva Senasinghe, during a courtesy meeting with Industry Minister Achaka Sibunrang yesterday.
The meeting was aimed at tightening the trade and investment relationship that existed between the two countries for more than 60 years. Minister Sujiva Senasinghe highlighted that the Sri Lankan government has planned to invest in the industrial sector to drive the economy. The Sri Lankan officials met with Amata representatives to discuss the planned industrial estate. Minister Sujiva Senasinghe had also stated that Sri Lankan government will invest in infrastructure to facilitate foreign investors, including oil, gas and power supplies. Minister Sujiva Senasinghe has also planned to meet several prominent members of the Thai private sector to attract them to invest more in Sri Lanka.
Vijaydatsa Rajapaksa, the Minister of Justice and Buddha Sasana, visited the north today.
I think it is a duty of all these government officials, especially of the media, to make the people aware if they have been dispossessed from their land, even though the 10-year period is passed, they can adjudicate their rights by filing an action, and this concession had been given only for a period of 2 years. This is one of the good remedies which could be applied to resolve existing conflict relating to land disputes in the northern province, especially at a time where we are fully engaged in the reconciliation process. It is our duty to ensure the non-recurrence of the conflicts that you and I experienced in the past.
In addition to the Ministry of Prison Reforms and Rehabilitation, in a media release notes, the government has allocated 14 billion rupees for high-impact resettlement projects in the northern and eastern provinces to socially upgrade and integrate the war-affected families into the mainstream of development.
Yet on to a headline story this evening. Prices of vehicles have increased once again with effect from today. The reason for this is the amendments made to the unit rate tax by the government being implemented.
It was proposed through the budget to impose the unit rate tax based on the engine capacity and the value of the vehicle. It was the greater of these two figures that acted as the base for tax. However, the Ministry of Finance points out that since many undervalue their vehicles and thereby pay less taxes, the government loses out on a major slice of revenue. Thereby, the tax charge based on the engine capacity of the vehicle has been increased. The Ministry of Finance points out that the aim of the new unit rate tax is to decrease the taxes on vehicles with smaller engine capacities and to hike the taxes on luxury vehicles bearing larger engines.
Well, with that, we wrap up Primetime News at 9. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
I'm Joel Outscoon. Take care. Good night.